Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine, the show with the information you value. I'm Adrian Atkinson, your host. Some of you may have another week before the academic year begins. Others are hitting the ground this week. Whatever your situation, we hope that you are ready for the new school year and that you will have a successful one. We have a great show planned just for you, so let's get right into it.
Fear is not the decider. Nervousness is understandable. Victory is the goal, after all. You are strong. You are brave. You have what it takes. You are ready. You are ready.
Today's our day. Today's our day. There were nights we would fight.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on the latest topics. As you may very well be aware, back to school is upon us. And here in Jamaica, we have this saying, your free paper bun, which, signifies that the summer break is over and class is literally back in session. And we also know that those back to school activities can have students, the parents, the teachers, all on edge. There are lessons to plan, there's shopping for school gear and the like, and the students are getting ready for all that work. Now, for the students, that in particular can result in almost overwhelming pressure. That pressure to be better, to do their best. All of this for students, parents, teachers can be overwhelming. But having a strategy can help. And who better to tell us than someone who works with all three? So joining us today is Miss Antoinette Wyatt. She's a teacher, serving over 30 years in education, a trained educator who has served as acting vice principal of the St. Richard's Primary School, a certified mentor, a literacy facilitator with creative language-based learning, and an online reading tutor. Ms. Wyatt, welcome to Get the Facts.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's jump into it now. So it's that overwhelming time of the year. This is the most wonderful time of the year. I'd like you to share with our audience, what are, say, your top 2 things that a parent, a teacher, and student needs to know to get ready for the school year? Give me one for each, parent, student, teacher.
No problem. All right, so for the parent, by now they would have gone through the shopping list, long shopping list,
Right.
and they would have done that part of the shopping. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
Ensure that the materials are in place.
Right,
all
right.
The second thing we need to do is we need to start now fixing the rooms, fixing the house.
Okay.
Because when it was summer, all books, everything school is
Put
but
away.
now, oh yes,
Right.
but now we're getting back into school mode. So the first thing we need to look at as parents is, where are we going to sit to do the homework?
So environment is academically
Environment.
useful.
Oh yes.
Okay.
When we were online, we specifically asked parents to have a place where there's no distraction.
Right.
We're not fully online anymore. We still operate in both spaces, but when the child comes home, where do you put the school bag? Where do you leave the books? If you're not using these books, where you put them?
Yeah.
That is the space that we're talking about. When the homework is to be done, when the project is to be done, this is the space we're talking about. There's no TV in that space. There is no YouTube in that space
Right.
when it is time to do the work. So you need to have that space. Another thing that we need to do as well as parents is to have the conversation. As you said, free paper bun time. So let us talk about it. What grade are you going in? What do we hope to achieve this year?
A plan.
Yes, man. You have to have a plan of action, but start small.
Okay.
Start with this term, first term or longest term in Jamaica. What are we going to achieve this term? If you have a grade 1 child, this child is transitioning from the early childhood, full early childhood. So they're coming from a basic school, they're coming from a kindergarten, they're going into grade 1. The grade 1 teacher is expecting the parents to work with us to transition this child to big school.
Okay.
So there are things that they need to do. The prince and the princess are not there anymore.
Okay.
Now we have young little people ready for the world now. So you have to help us with the transition, right? So that's one thing. Have the conversation. No matter how young, talk to them. What are we going to be doing? Oh, you're going into grade 4? PEP. So we're starting the PEP journey,
Right.
The literacy, the numeracy.
Thinking about it from
Oh,
day
yes.
one. Right.
Yes. So with that in mind now, the next thing for the parent is, what am I going to do to help my child? So we have this conversation. We know where we are. We're in pep up mode. I know I can't do it alone.
Right.
I need help.
Right.
My child may be struggling with numeracy, or my child may be struggling with literacy. Name it. Own it. And then you're going to seek the help. So am I going to get a tutor? Am I going to the same school my child is going? Am I going to do extra lessons?
Would you reach out to the teacher?
Of course.
Okay.
So you start putting your game plan in place.
Right.
We start school full on next week, but some schools have orientation. Perfect place for you to make your move, right? So have your questions there. When you go to orientation and they talk to you and they tell you, their expectations and so on, think about the discussion you had with your child.
Right.
Any of those falling into there, and if there's something that you discussed with your child or something that came up when you were looking at the way ahead,
Right.
make sure you talk to the teacher there.
I want to
Bring
jump
it
in
up.
here. I want to jump in here because what you said at the start of this answer is still running around in my head in terms of setting goals, right? Setting academic goals. I don't see how, you said little people, especially younger students,
Yeah.
they're not going to do that on their own.
No.
Give the parents something about setting academic goals.
All right. So for many years, I taught grade 1.
Right.
And something that is hard for a parent to do is to transition themselves. Because, as I said, they're still little princesses and they're still little princes, and the mindset for the parent is not there.
Right.
So when I address the children, I address them as the little people, and so you talk to them as such. So the same way you and I are having this conversation, it's the same thing for them.
Right.
What you do is you give them the language. So you say to them, okay, you're going to grade 1 now. When you read something, how much do you understand? You understand everything? You can answer the questions?
Finding out where their
Yes.
boundaries
Is
are.
there anything else you wanted to know about the story that you just read?
Right.
So once they're able to have that conversation with you, they can set goals. They can set a goal.
Understood.
You're going to get spelling words.
Right.
You're going to get the vocabulary. The teacher is going to start with 10. So you're going to set a goal for that subject.
I see where you're going here. And we're going to go to a break now, but based on what you have just said, that's grade 1, but that's scalable all the way to high
All
school.
the way up to university when you have to do it for yourself.
Indeed.
Same goal setting.
All right, we're going to take a break now. Please stay with us. We're talking about back to school. Welcome back to Get the Facts. I believe I speak for everyone when I say we all want our children to have the best education, no matter where they go to school or their financial status. So we're talking academic preparations for the new school year, and I'm joined by Miss Antoinette Wyatt. Lady Wyatt, we were discussing setting academic goals. We've spoken about things that parents need to be aware of. Now, I don't know if this is an elephant in the room, but a story here all the time. What when the parent and the teacher disagrees? How can a parent minimize the occurrences of that?
All right. First of all, something that is very important for parents to know is your channel of communication.
Right.
Know that from the first day of school. Know what your channels are. The basic ladder climb from the bottom up is start with the class teacher.
Okay.
So yes, you have an issue with the class teacher, but guess what? That's where it starts. You have to talk it out.
So you don't run to the boss.
Oh,
Okay.
no jumping over nobody. We're not doing the leapfrog.
Okay.
Start with the teacher. Now, if your problem is not solved there, the next level up would be the teacher supervisor. So it may be a head of department if you're in the high school. It may be a grade coordinator if you're in the primary school. It may be a supervisor if you're in the infant school, right?
Okay.
That's the next jump.
Right.
Now, if you're still not hearing what you want to hear, or you don't feel that you're getting, in Jamaica we say you don't feel like you're getting justice, the next level up, 2 persons. You have your guidance counselor and you have the vice principal.
Okay.
So there's a climb.
Right.
Now, depending on how big the situation is in your estimation, then the next place we go to would be the principal.
Right.
But many times it can be solved from the class teacher. It's a misunderstanding. It's how you interpret it.
Right.
So here's the thing. In Jamaica, and I'm going to speak to us because of how our nature is,
Yes.
when something happens, what's the first thing we do? We flare up
Okay,
right away.
okay.
This is, we don't
That was
even
my
need
first
to know.
answer.
Yes,
Yeah.
man. It's your baby.
Right.
No matter how old they are, you know, it's your baby.
And seemingly no matter what happened.
It's yours, right? So, first of all, you need to pause.
Right.
All of us need to do it. We need to pause, breathe, and then look at the child and say, what you said happened again? So what Miss do?
So it's not.
What Sir do?
It's not even so much about always the problem itself, but
No,
how you address
it's
it.
how you address it.
Have any tips for the teachers?
For my colleagues out there, listen, we have to be breathing a lot more this time. We have to breathe a lot. But for my colleagues, we have what we call our log.
Right.
And we journal.
Yes.
Because in journaling, that is where we are able to calm our minds, because you can't just write that you vex. You have to write what happened, what triggered what triggered who, what did I do in the moment. And sometimes when we're journaling, that's when we realize, oh,
Clarity comes. Clarity
whoops,
comes.
right? We also have to remember that we're all human and we're prone to error.
Right.
So if you realize in your journaling where we went wrong, let's reach out. Let us reach out. If it is that based on the situation, you don't want to reach out on your own, reach out to your colleague, reach out to somebody with a level head, reach out to the guidance counselor. Let us make the phone call. And when you make the phone call, say to the parent, sir, ma'am, you are on speakerphone and I have with me X.
Okay. Oh, we're not doing the wrong and strong thing.
No.
I have to fit in some student conversation here.
Yes.
Right. Students are preparing for, we're going to learn, but they're preparing for the midterms, the final exams, the PEPs. Any study tips, organizational tips you can offer students?
Listen, for that, I just have to use the 5-finger rule that my daughter uses.
All right.
So she has just 5 tips, 5 simple tips. I have to make sure I don't make any errors here when I'm
fine.
sharing.
Fine.
Okay, so she has 5 simple tips. So the first tip she has is the swatting method. So instead of waiting until it's right upon you, she recommends that you do a 2-week deadline. Remember the goals that we spoke about?
Right.
Right. So any content that you learn, any new content that you learn, give yourself no more than 2 weeks to refresh. Because you see, after the 2 weeks, you're going to end up cramming. You're going to end up swatting. And what we want to do is develop long-term memory.
Right.
So right after you learn the content, within the 2 weeks immediately,
Some kind of
read
study.
it over.
Right.
We're not going to say study because study stresses us.
Understood.
So we're going to read it over. We're going to talk to ourselves in the mirror. We are also, in that same period of time, going to go to the next finger. We are going to peer share.
Number 2, peer share.
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to peer share. Here's the thing. The aim is to develop long-term memory, not short-term.
Right.
For long-term memory, when you do peer share, so you don't understand something, I am coming to you and I'm going to share with you. You and I are going to talk it out. You are getting the example and you're getting the understanding for the first time. But for me, I am cementing it.
Got it.
I am
Got it.
creating my long-term memory.
Right.
Here's the next thing. You and I come up on a problem. Oh, but I never did look at that one. Hold up. Let us go ask.
This is number 3?
No, man, same
still
number
number
2.
two. Okay.
You and I are going to go get the answer. And then we're going to talk it through again.
Understood.
So that's number 2. So then now we get to number 3. And this is the one where you'd have to have your own space. You ever notice you see somebody reading and they're reading out loud?
Yeah.
You're talking to yourself, you're reading it through, and you're hearing it at the same time.
Not crazy at all.
Not crazy at all. So that's number 3 in her book. Find yourself a space where the only sound you hear is your own voice. Read through the material. It helps to cement your long-term memory. And then 4th finger. This is where we are not afraid to ask for help. And this is where I believe the term teacher's pet come from. Because you're not afraid to ask for help. You're always going to be the one to raise your hand. You're always going to be the one to go back after the lesson is finished to ask the teacher, Miss, you said something today, but I didn't want to ask in the room. What you think about so-and-so, and get the clarification. That not only helps you, but it helps the teacher to know where you are. If you ask that question, chances are other children in the room have the same problem. So it helps the teacher to also plan. And finally, go over past questions. Believe it or not, even with the CSEC examination, there are questions that come back.
Lady Wyatt, you have given us a wealth of information, and I know we haven't even reached the end yet, but unfortunately we are out of time. I encourage you to listen to what she says for parents, for the teachers, for the students. It's 3 coming together for the success of that student. So thank you for joining us today, Lady Wyatt.
Thanks for having me.
And we do hope you and your students have a successful school year.
Thank you.
And this has been Get the Facts. I hope you have a productive week and all the success in the future. So see you next time.
Hi everyone, here are 5 benefits of being a beneficiary of the Students' Loan Bureau. 1. Benefit from our 99% approval rate. 2. Benefit from our low interest rate, so less burden when you need to repay. 3. Benefit from the fact that we require no collateral when applying. 4. We're giving you more time to focus on your studies while we focus on the financing. No need to worry about repaying while in school. Number 5. Receive a 14 months grace period after your graduation date before you enter repayment. Don't forget to follow us on all SLB platforms for more SLB info.
I believe programs like even integrating the career in the syllabus maybe help them to research some careers, what their likes and dislikes. Maybe more counseling, career counseling needs to be done, but I believe there needs to be more so that persons are more grounded when they leave, so they can go to university and know exactly what they want to do.
I believe that the schools can have more advisors there, that from before they even go to, let's say, 10th grade, they'll have someone to advise them of the different fields and to give them a proper guidance as to which subjects or which key areas to focus on if they decide to go into that field.
Going up 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, I believe if you teach the kids how to, identify their strengths and weaknesses, because then, it's the standard police, pilot, doctor. Some persons don't really have that, but you force that on these kids that don't really have much experience in that. Some of them are very technical in terms of them can pull a truck apart or a vehicle apart and fix it.
They can have a workshop or a little conference where other tertiary educational schools can come in and show what they have to offer and give out booklets, because that was what was done at my school, and give you a little idea of what's I would be interested in. It would be important is because it would give the younger generation more of a mindset of where their career path could lie and how they can plan out their future.
First of all, I think you can probably go into like schools and educate them more as to their options. For me, for example, I never knew what I wanted to do when I just came out of school, and so I took a longer time to do my degree.
When you know what you're good at, students are able to know what program they want to do in the tertiary level.
We all could use a little help sometimes, and the young, while they are strong, are not as experienced. That's where we come in. After all, as they say, with age and experience comes wisdom. Anyhow, if you're looking to choose a degree program or you're currently studying but not sure you made the right decision, this program is for you. We spoke with some experts and they had this to say.
When thinking about who you are as a young person and thinking about what you want to become, fundamentally we have to begin to think about the degrees that we need to have and also the life that we want to have in our journey.
As a child, one can seem certain about the profession he or she wants to lead. A doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, maybe even a firefighter. The possibilities seem endless. But then comes adulthood and the moment where you need to make a definitive decision. A lot is riding on that decision. Money you may or may not have. Time you'll never be able to recover. And of course, a parent or guardian you may not want to disappoint. You may find yourself steering into the future where anything is possible, and yet the choice of what career you want to go into is difficult. Here are some things to do to help you make the best choice when choosing your degree program and ultimately the career you will lead. First, you may want to consider your interest. What excites you is what will automatically draw you in.
Fundamentally, do not do a degree because your friend likes that degree. I know a lot of people who pursue degrees, pursue tertiary level education, doing something that they don't like but because their friend is doing it. That's a no-no. The fundamental thing about doing a degree and doing a good degree is something that you do well, easily, without having to struggle.
Then you want to do some research on that role. Research will turn up added information for you to know if this path is right for you. Research can be done in varying ways, but first, get to know yourself.
There are a number of career assessments online that when you do them, they give you an instant report. I recommend to persons who are contemplating career choices to do a minimum of 3 career-related assessments. When you do 3, you give yourself an opportunity to see a pattern in terms of what how the reports discuss the way you answer your questions. And then once you see the pattern, it's easier for you to narrow down to 3 possible choices that match your interests and your aptitude. And then you can do a deeper exploration of those 3 career choices to include online research, informational interviews with professionals who are in the field, people who are 5 years into the field, 10 years in the field, and beyond 10 years. And that will give you a good set of data to clarify whether this career most likely will suit you.
Now that we have a better understanding of who we are and the job that mostly aligns with our behaviors, let's get some information on those jobs.
One of the things that I ask persons, who is sitting in your ideal job? And that helps them to think in very specific ways as to what they want to be at the height of their career. And once they get some clarity about that, I would ask them to go and arrange informational interviews with at least 3 persons who are doing the job that you aspire to do, to get their journey. Because they are human just like you, and they have insecurities just like you. And when we hear other people's stories, it normalizes our own insecurities, and the fact that they are successful, it paints a very vivid picture to us that what they have done, we can do too.
Make sure you do some background research as to the salary range for these degrees that you plan to do, and make sure that you understand the trajectory of your professional life after you have completed that degree.
Certainly, money should never be the sole motivator for pursuing a certain course of study, but it should be one of the motivations when choosing a degree program.
Job choice and salary go hand in hand. So the same is true. Is this college major that I'm contemplating going to provide me with the standard of living that is a reasonable standard of living, that either is equal to the standard of living I had growing up or better, which is what you want.
Consider laboring with the paying of knowledge and or experience.
An internship can be supportive of the career selection, especially if a person has a general idea of a career or two that they would like to pursue. In doing an internship, they will have gotten as close as possible to actually committing to a career path without committing to it. And through the internship, they'll be able to see if some of the assumptions that they have about what it is like doing this all day, if those assumptions are true, and they have more data they can use to make a decision to say, yes, this would be good for me or not.
You will want to contemplate the current state of the job market and what statistics point to in regards to future jobs. No doubt some jobs have become obsolete, while others are becoming oversaturated. These should be considered when thinking about your degree program and ultimately your career path.
In looking for a degree, you look for whether the labor market has a demand. Is that going to prepare you for a profession that is growing, or is that profession stabilizing or dying?
We don't have many museums here, and we don't have many galas. As a result, doing a degree in history, for example, might not be the right thing for you to do if you don't plan to work in a museum or you don't plan to work in a library.
Interpersonal skills go hand in hand with your job choice. You might be smitten with the idea of a career that demands people skills, but you're shy and not at all outgoing. You may want to consider if this path is for you at all. But if you decide it is, then be honest with yourself about the skills you need to work on to fulfill this role.
So I would encourage somebody who is shy and self-conscious to, in a kind and compassionate way, give themselves more and more challenges in that area until they master it. The more you put yourself in the context that causes you discomfort, is the more you master that context.
Finally, you want to find out if the institution and the course of study that you will be pursuing is accredited. Accreditation is a review of the quality of higher education institutions and programs. The University Council of Jamaica would be able to help in this regard.
Think about these things, focus, get to know yourself, get to understand your skills, get to know your deficiencies, get to know your positives. And it is through these things that you will begin now to master yourself so that you can master whatever discipline that you choose to do.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website, gis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.